After a long post war decline, the number of people living in multi generational households continues to climb in the US and other Commonwealth countries. Given the many contributing factors, is that a trend that's here to stay? Donna Butts is the executive director of Generations United. She's an internationally sought after speaker, author, and advocate with more than 3 decades of experience working to promote the well being of children, youth, and older adults. Donna, thanks for taking the time today.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. It's great to be with you today.
Multi-generational households are at their highest level since the 1950s. How significant is that increase, and what are some of the contributing factors?
It is significant that the number has increased and that it's continued to increase. Here in the US, we saw a jump back during the recession, and people said, well, families will come together because of the recession, but they expected those numbers to decrease, and they didn't. What I said is families may have come together by need, they stayed together by choice. So there's oftentimes economic factors, caregiving factors, and now COVID-19 is a big driver of an increase in multi-generational households.
Well, as you say, those reasons can be cultural or financial or health related, any number of reasons. So why is there a stigma around multi-generational living, and where does that come from?
The stigma around multi-generational households has been with us for a number of years, ever since, again, I'll talk about the US. When you think about it, the way that this country was settled, it was by multi-generational families. They pulled together, they settled the land, they farmed together, they supported each other because they knew that we were interdependent as people. And as the country industrialized, as families started to move further away from each other, I think to justify it, it became more of the societal norm that people should be independent. They shouldn't need each other. They should be able to survive and thrive on their own. But in fact, we are interdependent. And so what we found as the number of households have continued to increase, we're really pushing against that societal change, and it's becoming more accepted than it was. I always remember our early days with Generations United. We did a report in 2011. And at the time, the press was all very negative about how sad it was, how awful it was that families had to live together. And we were the only ones that asked the families what they thought. And they wrote back and they responded saying, it's great. It's helpful. It's enhanced our bonds. It's helped us with financially. It's helped us with caregiving. It's helped our children with roots. So they say it's real positive. It's the outside society that's saying it's not. So we just have to continue to get that message out about how it's strength-based. It's a joy that people realize that they're interdependent and that families stay together and they help each other.
Well, beyond the benefits that you were just talking about, in reality, there's several indicators that intergenerational connections can actually increase health and well-being for people.
You're so right. It's really not natural or normal for children or older adults to be separated from each other or to be isolated and only live with other people who look like them, think like them, and are their same age. For example, what I believe deeply about senior-only living communities, I don't think they're healthy. We know that there's only 3 topics of conversation: pain, pills, and passing. It's what hurt, what medication you're on, and who died. And if you're mixing with other generations, those aren't the only 3 topics. So it gives a sense of purpose, a reason to get out of bed, a reason to take care of yourself because you're contributing. You're a part of society. You're part of a community. You're part of a family.
Well, certainly multiple generations living under the same roof comes with many benefits, but also some challenges.
There are challenges. I think it would be naive to think that it's just going to be all fabulous when people move in together. I remember talking with my aunt once, and she was head of a multi-generational household. And when I said, well, what kind of hints would you have for a household, or what would you say? And she'd say, remember that nobody's going to change just because of you. So people may be night owls, they may be people who prefer to be up early in the morning. It's realizing that that people are different. So the communication is really, really critical. but there can be some difficulties. And the most important thing is communication and having a clear understanding of the situation, the expectations.
Then you bring a global pandemic into the picture. And as you were saying, with people living in seniors only living, there's been a great amount of isolation during this pandemic. Are multi-generational families seeing greater benefits at this time?
I believe that they are seeing greater benefits. Now, it's not without peril, but you're right. Again, what we've seen in the pandemic is how awful we oftentimes treat our older population when we isolate them. And when we isolated them and the COVID-19 came in and we lost a number of people. Whereas if they are with their families or they're with other populations, for example, an intergenerational care facility where there may be child care and adult daycare, they practice higher hygiene, safety, and illness protocols than other facilities do. So they're better equipped for it. With multi-generational households, again, there have to be certain considerations that you take into mind. You have to be mindful of the different generations, but it can be very safe and actually work more to everyone's benefit.
In your experience and with the impact of the pandemic and its effect on unemployment, will it potentially accelerate the increase of multi-generational living?
Definitely. For example, there was a recent survey that showed that 61% of the adults who had moved because of COVID-19 moved in with a relative. We think that there's going to be another very large spike, an increase in the number of intergenerational households or multi-generational households.
But what policies and systems are lagging behind in terms of supporting these families?
There are a number of policies and systems that are lagging behind. One is that, as we were talking about the way that society treats multi-generational families, oftentimes they don't fit into that round hole of a traditional family. So there can be zoning issues. There can be, the number of members in a household that you might be having to be at odds with what the current zoning or homeowner association regulations are. Financing may be a little bit more difficult. How do you combine the financing to structure to purchase the home when usually you look at like the two providers' incomes? So there are things like that. Also, if what you're thinking about is adding on to an existing home or adding a dwelling on the property, an auxiliary dwelling, there can be rules and regulations that prohibit that. So we really need to rethink and relook at policies we have in place and make sure that they are all family friendly.
Well, if the trend is here to stay, urban planners and developers are going to have to step it up. And on that topic, do you believe the trend is here to stay? Do you think that the increases will continue?
And I really do believe that the numbers are going to continue to increase. They have been increasing steadily since the Great Recession here in the US. We hear more conversation from our partners, our global friends around the world about how people are looking at this kind of household configuration. But we really do believe that the numbers are going to increase and that it's going to benefit our societies because families are pulling together.
A vision for a world that values and engages all generations. That's Generations United. Donna Butts, thank you for sharing that vision with NewsPoint today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.